But there's always outlying situations. Like, I have experience being paid less than my male coworkers, even though we're working the same position.
Well, you're lucky that you live in a country where there's codified legislation that would allow you to sue and get your rightful money.
I am, but I'm just saying I have experience.
Can we dive a little deeper into that? What was the job?
I worked at a boba and cheese shop in high school.
And you guys both started at the exact same time?
No, I started before.
You started before?
A couple weeks before, same position, and he was being paid $2 more an hour than me.
Did he have more education?
No.
I had the same experience.
Was the job, there was no difference in the job title?
No.
Did you ask your boss why the discrepancy?
No, I did not.
Is it possible that he negotiated his salary and you didn't?
No.
They just gave it to him?
Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
They do that.
You said it was a boba shop?
Yeah.
Was the boss a male or female?
It was a female.
Okay.
Oh, well.
There you have it.
Okay. So, one other question. Was there any expectation of, like, lifting anything heavy?
No.
There was no, like, requirement to lift?
I mean, if there's a lot of boba, maybe. And she could probably lift.
I don't know. I mean, it's a bit anecdotal.
Emmy can lift.
I don't know if that specific example is evidence of...
I'm just kidding.
But did you ask for a promote? Did you ask to get paid more or paid equivalently?
No, I didn't ask about it.
And that right there is the other reason why I think in some ways the wage gap exists,
Yeah,
because men and
people
women
don't
are different in asking for
Yeah,
raises.
Agreed.
That's
Because I've also
true.
experienced differences in pay when I was in sales, in tech sales. I was being paid like a third of what my male counterparts were being paid, but I did advocate for myself and I kept getting raises because of that.
Yeah.
But their argument,
You're getting paid 1/3.
base salary.
So
Same
if they
commission
were
rate.
making, if you were making 100,000, they were making 300,000.
I wasn't making 100,000 at the time
I'm
because
just
I was fresh
using
out of
a
college.
example,
but yes,
but-
they were making. Some of them were making 3 times.
So if
as
you're
much
making
as me.
50K, they were making 150K. Is my math right there?
Yeah.
A third.
Yeah, that's a good
Is that
example.
is it a commission job? Sales, isn't that often commission based?
Salary and commission. But that was the thing.
So
So I
their
did
total compensation or plus
Yeah.
commission? They were getting.
salary plus commission.
So
So,
their
like your
sal-
OTE
just their
would be different off rip technically because of your different salaries, but because
Were
I
you
was-
selling the same products?
Yeah, but because I did well in my sales, I mean, I was good. But I would argue like yeah, in certain scenarios that does happen, but in mine it was because also I had less experience, even though I was a top performer.
So I had to step away for a bit. I know you were going around the table asking if who's a feminist. Did we get all the way around the table on that? Everyone
I
got to
think
answer?
so, yeah.
And then someher the wage gap
I was
came up,
asked-
and I heard something about sports. So is it the case? So
That was a good clip.
was it women's sports should be paid the same as men's sports? Is that?
Yeah, but obviously I understand like the women don't get as many views. I'm just saying it sucks because they are like they do the same things as men.
Do
Like
they?
they're working hard every single day. They bring home championships. I think like it does suck that people don't watch women's sports enough.
But I mean,
Does it depend on the sport? Are there some women's sports that get more views than men?
well, it depends,
Not
but
sure.
Bender the offender donated $100. Women being equal in the eyes of the law is a good thing. It's whenever equality in terms of physicality and mentality becomes a jack of all trades, but master of none type scenario.
Do you have the same issue though that say most like female OnlyFans creators get paid more than men? They're
or
hypothetical.
female models.
Yeah, they're probably
they make
putting in
more
the
than
same
men.
work.
No, I think that they should. If they're putting in the same work, like yeah, they
But
should
how
be
do you?
paid.
That's
But
not really
I
an
don't-
optimal way of running an economy.
The handyman donated $100. Brickson, thanks for everything you do to teach young women the ways. Side note, ignore the brain dead goth girl, please. FFS.
Hey, thank you.
First time TTS. Love
Hey,
the show.
The handyman.
Fight the good
Thank
fight.
you. Thank you for your first time TTS. Really appreciate your generosity and patronage. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
I will say I am not well educated with like economics and everything. I'm just that
But
was my
that
2 cents.
that is an
Same.
interest, and I'm not attacking you guys. Obviously, I do
No,
this
yeah.
for a living, so it's slightly different. But I actually don't really do the cultural stuff. Like I said, my wheelhouse really is the China stuff. I just like to think I'm an impartial observer. But it's just interesting to me because, like, does it not weird you out to some extent that you're like, I'm a feminist. Like you have such this ingrained thing to be like, women need to be treated equal. I need empowerment. Like, society is not fair, you know, it's not equal. But then when you've never actually thought about it, like you sort of reverse engineered your thought process. In other words, you started with the culmination instead of actually doing the debate and digging into it, right? You guys have all told me like, oh, well, you're so much more well researched than I am on this issue. I'm really not. Like I said, I don't do the cultural stuff, but I just, don't you feel weird like having an opinion that you haven't done the research on, and it's just an opinion that you have because corporations put out commercials making it normalized to be a feminist, and that's
Yeah, I would agree with that, I guess.
But I also experienced it like kind of her. So like I know the bad parts of it, and I did ask for a raise. I cried to my manager. I worked there.
Was your manager male or
It
female?
was a female.
Okay, but so if the issue is not being empowered and you
Patriarchy
think it's a
wins again.
patriarchy, the two of you just told me the one anecdotal example. The one anecdotal example we can get of a alleged pay gap was at the hands of a woman.
Well,
So how is it men keeping you down?
No.
I never said men
no,
were
we never
keeping me
Wait,
down.
who?
But yeah,
just
we never
really
said
quick,
men.
just so because I was gone. Who said they were feminists? Just show of hands.
I said moderately.
I also said
No,
moderately.
no. Yeah, you? Yes. Okay,
Both moderate.
got it. Let me read this chat really quick. We'll come back to it. Actually, Natalie, could you read it?
Example of female empowerment. How about while serving 12 years in the U.S. Army, females would purposely get pregnant to avoid deployments or get out of doing work or go home early because of cramps? There's only feminism in a free country provided by men.
Joker, Deuce Ace, thank you, man. Appreciate your super chat. Actually, let me kind of piggyback off this a little bit. Question, so what do you think about demands for equal pay in physically demanding jobs, such as firefighter, police officer, laborer, soldier? Like, do you think, for example, women in the military, firefighters, police officers, laborers, let's remove laborers. Do you think that there should be equal pay in those circumstances?
Didn't she say there's equal pay?
Well, there is. Yeah. Do you
I'm
think
saying
there
yeah.
should be, though?
I'm saying yeah.
Okay. So, for example, the physical requirements, though, to become a firefighter or police officer or soldier, you know, there's like physical tests. There's not just one standard. There's the male standard and the female standard. And the physical requirements that women need to achieve are far lower than for their male counterparts. Given that these are physically laborious jobs, it sounds like to me equal pay for unequal work. Because if there's a bigger physical burden on men in these jobs, wouldn't it stand to reason that they ought to be paid more?
Well, I think everybody could put the same amount of work in technically, and if men are,
Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know, maybe I'm misunderstanding, and I think I'm going to go off on a different tangent.
Well, okay,
That's
let's
all I have to
say
say for right now.
I think some of the hardest jobs are military, firefighters, laborers, police officers, and there's a reason why it's predominantly men, and there's a reason why they get paid royally for it. It's because the majority of women could not do it.
Okay, let's say, for example, it's just if we acknowledge that these jobs are physically demanding and might require you to, for example, restrain a criminal or rescue somebody from a burning building, do you really if you're incapable of performing that duty, but for the sake of like wokeness and putting people in these positions where people's lives potentially need to be saved, where's the argument for it being justified to give someone equal pay?
You talking to me?
Huh?
You talking
Yeah.
I mean, I meant it more in a general sense.
Oh, it's just like I've seen these videos, for example, of and look, I think there's space for women to be involved in firefighting, being police officers, soldiers, depending on what. But I've seen these videos of, for example, there's like 2 or 3 female police officers trying to restrain a male, and they're just incapable of doing it. Like they cannot physically, like with force, restrain the male. Whereas if it was like, I don't know why you're laughing, dude.
I'm
like,
not laughing.
But if it was just one man or two males, they would have been capable of restraining this individual.
But we're talking about payment, so we're saying the 3 women police officers should be paid less because they're less capable, is what you're saying?
I mean, if part of your job involves dealing with criminals, and if we care about, here's another component of this, if a woman is incapable of physically restraining a man, she's going to be much quicker to use lethal force than a man will. So there's some considerations there, because if she can't physically restrain him, okay, she's going to have to go through there's a specific terminology for it. She's going to have to go through like the escalation of, there's a specific term. It's
De-escalation.
Killer of Serial
Escalation
donated
force.
$100. Spatio-temporal events in M versus F sports, movement speed, thrust power, throwing distances ect. This is why women paid less ticket sales. They only work as hard as they are biologically able.
Word. I don't know, it just occurs to me, it's like, if you got to pay 4 people to do the job of what 2 people could do. Yeah.
I think,
You
sorry.
can go first.
I was going to say, I think for the sake of diversity, our society is being more inclusive. And I think that can be dangerous for many reasons. It puts the officers, firefighters, whichever profession it is, it puts them at risk. But I think that ultimately it's up to the employer to gauge what is necessary in terms of what their physical capabilities are when contributing to the workforce.
If you're getting on a plane,
I was gonna say.
Uh-oh.
you're getting on a plane,
Oh, God.
okay?
All right.
Would you rather have the pilot be just like a dude, ex-military, super qualified, got the job, you could argue probably in spite of being a white dude, or would you rather have someone who came up through the ranks of like the diversity, equity, and inclusion program? She's a woman, but she only got in there so the company could be like, look at our ESG score. It's freaking awesome. We have female pilots. But you get to be the female pilot. Who would you rather fly with?
Well, the guy, because he's more qualified.
Yeah.
I'm not attached to money like everybody else here, I guess. I don't care.
If the woman was just as qualified, then it doesn't matter.
Then it wouldn't matter.
I think
It's to do with-
I think I missed the difference between the two.
Wait, Nick, private chat really
So
quick? I'm sorry.
someone coming from an ex-military
Qualified guy.
background, qualified, or someone that
Who
they
rose up to the
specifically-
DEI ranks.
Yeah, got the job because they added to that.
Because they were a
diversity
woman.
percentage. Which, like, I think if they have the
Did you get private chat,
qualifications,
Nick?
regardless. And commercial is pretty like standard. Things.
I mean,
happen.
look at
But
the flights
I know,
lately.
I know.
I'm just saying, the company that was running the bridge in Maryland has
It's
a pretty
a
strong
good
DEI
argument.
program.
It's a good argument.
I think
I think if they got the qualifications either way, though, obviously I think everyone would go with like ex-military. You were doing this for 30 years, like you know what you're doing. But
so. You guys, so you said that, right? You'd rather go with a qualified guy. So shouldn't people like that be paid more then, in the sense that it's what customers prefer? You'd rather go with people who have more experience, as opposed to just some figurehead diversity. Oh, it's a woman. Because when push comes to shove,
Well, if like she had the training and qualifications for it, then she should be paid equally as that person. But if not, then no.
yeah, but the whole purpose of all these like affirmative action and DEI style hiring programs is that you're lowering the standards to invite people in who don't have the same qualifications.